Okay, guys, I hope everyone's having a good night or good morning wherever you are in the world. I'm going to get started a little early. We have a lot going on in the market tonight. It's definitely an outlier evening, weekends in terms of market activity. We could see limit down going into Monday. So I want to talk a little bit about the market in general. And then around, I would think in about 10 minutes or so, we'll have everyone and we'll be able to get ahead and go ahead with a super chat request. So I want to mention a couple things just to get started. I just want to mention again, let's go to our live scene here. I just want to mention a couple things. First, I have my website. If you aren't familiar with me, you can go to ElliottWaveSage.com and check it out. And it tells you a little bit about myself. And then, of course, you join through my YouTube site. So you join through my YouTube site, but this is just a landing page with more information about the system, myself, membership levels that you can subscribe on YouTube. And also on this demand stock analysis, I also do, and it's $50 a symbol. I had to raise the price, too much demand, not enough capacity, so price went up. So it's $50. If you want to do it, you just click this button and you pay, and I get it to you in 24 to 48 hours. Once in a while, we really hit a home run. Someone paid for MOBX. It was up 500%. About 2 days, 3 days after that report, they purchased. So think about the ROI on that investment. Think about, past results don't predict the future, but I'm just saying once in a while, you just never know. So that's what I want to talk about here on this site. Now, going into the markets, a couple things you'll notice: super chat prices will have to go up as well. There's just too much demand, too many requests. I can't be on the live streams 3 hours every day, so they're going to be starting next week, $10 per symbol, and then you have to either think about what you want or you can just request it. It's just the part, demand. I've charged $5 for 3 years. I've been doing this for 3 years now. So it's time the prices have to go up. I'm more popular now. I got a lot more followers, viewers, requests. So this is just part of supply and demand, and I have to do, or I can't manage it. I can't be on here all night doing super chats. So I do want to mention that. So I got that out of the way. So I want to talk about the market, and so I'm going to put my camera on and I want to talk a little bit about the market. So you are going to get to see my face there. Okay, I'm not sure how this is going to work. So if everyone can see me. So we have a big sell-off right now. And of course, we'll get back to the charts in a minute. Okay, so this is just a little bit of a monologue I want to do about the markets because there's a lot going on, right? So this Iran situation, there's still a lot of hope out there in the market. Okay, there's a lot of hope right now still, even though it doesn't seem like that. When I read and I really listen to the talk shows, to the members that are on Spaces, on X Spaces, there always is, well, this is going to end, or he's looking for an off ramp, or there isn't enough, missiles left in the arsenal of the U.S. and they'll just run out of missiles and they can't fire back anymore and they'll just go home. I don't think any of those things can happen now. I mean, can Trump really taco and go back and say, yeah, you know what? We accomplished some goals and we're going home? No, he can't now. I mean, there's no way, because then every nation would have the blueprint on how to defeat the United States. Create enough market pressure, right? That's all you need to do. And you can do that through, unconventional warfare, through drones, through very inexpensive weaponry, cyber war. You don't need to ever confront the U.S. military might head on ever again. You just need to make the markets bleed. That's what it would send the message to all our adversaries. That's all it takes. All the billions of dollars in defense and all the tanks and weapons and bombs and don't matter. It just make the markets go red. So if Iran can get Trump to taco, they will win. They would have won. Whether you believe it or not, they won, because now people will respect they can respond better than they thought. They were better prepared. They know the weak spot, and they installed another hardline leader. And so there's no way the United States can back down. There's just no way now. They're in it. So if there's any complacency and hope of a taco or, hey, we're done here, it's not going to happen. This could be the new normal for a while, just like when Russia went into Ukraine. It was the new normal for years and years. I'm not saying this could be years, but it could be. This could be a new paradigm. This could be a new way, a new trading era has been born. So all the stocks that you loved and you owned, you may need to think about buying something else. Think about natural gas and energy and agriculture. And you may have to consider, yes, you may get good deals on all these other stocks that are going to sell off hard. Software is a recent example, but there'll be more. But they may take years to come out of their series of ones and twos. Years. While you wait, because you got a meme you love and cherish, the rest of the market is going up 200-300% in these other sectors you're not in. So in your mind, you got to start thinking different. You got to start thinking different and positioning your mind around what's the next stocks that are going to be in wave threes this year and next year and maybe the year after. While these other stocks, while we love them and we cherish them and they're favorites, they're my favorites, you got to understand that those stocks may take years to come off of the bottom as they go through their ones and twos and they basin out from the drop that they're in or going to be in. So it's going to be hard for investors to understand that. And it's going to be hard for people to learn that lesson. The other lesson is if we are in a big sell-off, buying the dip will be catastrophic because if you buy it too early, that's when most investors lose all their money, is buying the dip too early. It's not actually losing money at the top because most people can get out at the top. They're going to see what happened. Let's say tonight continues. We're down 900. Let's say we're limit down tomorrow. They're going to get out if they didn't sell at the top. And they'll say, it's good. I got in at the April lows. I got out. Yeah, I didn't get out at the highs, but I got out high enough. What's going to happen is we're going to go back down in the NASDAQ and hit some key level, which I've shared with members. And then they're going to pile in and buy. And then they're going to see it rally. And they're going to pile in and buy more, thinking it's April 25 again. But this time it isn't. It's different. And then the market will limit down on them again. Then they lose everything. That's the nature of the bear market. Okay. So it's the buy-in of the dip is where you get hurt. So that's something you need to think about because we are at the end of potentially a major cycle in the indexes. We think we could extend the fifth wave across the world, the grand super cycle, but there's a possibility where it is already ended, a grand super cycle. And that means everyone who buys the dip in this, whatever this sell-off or the volatility peaks and overshoots and you buy a dip, you will be blown up. That will be the wave that will destroy your portfolio. That's the wave that's going to cause the most pain, the suicide, all that. That's not this. Not what we're in now. Because most people have a lot of profit from April 25 and they'll just get out and they may not get out with everything, but they'll get out and then they'll wait, but it's the buy another dip. That's what you're going to have to watch. And the unfortunate thing is we just don't know if the market's going to extend or not. So you're going to have to decide and manage your money accordingly, knowing that you could be at the end of a major 100-year cycle and you could be buying the dip at the worst possible time. But if you don't, then you won't catch that wave 3 or 5 that I think everyone wants. So what are you going to do? Well, you're going to have to make a decision. So what I say, you got to do what's best for you. Okay. So I don't think Trump can taco, guys. Trump cannot taco. Okay. I don't think. Now, let's say he does. Let's say he does taco. Okay. I think it's a major, step back. And it also leaves Iran in a much stronger position. So then Israel's going to go at them hard, and then maybe they're going to start using the N-word, nukes, because now you got a more radical leader. They flex. They pushed out the U.S. They know their weak spot, and then it's going to be Israel knows they're alone, so they're just going to go after. And so it's just going to be bad. So that's what I'm saying. This situation doesn't seem to have like a good off ramp anymore because the Pandora's box has been opened. You can't bring it back in. It's too late. You killed a leader. And I said in my videos before this all happened, you better be careful when you start a war because the other side gets to shoot back at you. Once you start a war, the other side, you better be careful because you may not like what happens. And that's what I think is starting to happen. And perhaps there was some overconfidence in what happened with Venezuela that led to this. But the situation is what it is. It's a mess. And I don't see if I'm trying to connect the dots where this goes. I think the best hope for this to end is if China could put pressure on Iran to end it, because it's affecting their energy situation. So if Iran can somehow stabilize China's energy situation, then I think this war continues. But I think if somehow the U.S. can disrupt that and prevent that, then I think China may say, yeah, enough's enough here, guys. Okay, you need to stand down, because now China is like, hey, we're not giving up our system. So I think that's the only angle U.S. has, is to try to get China to pressure Iran to stop because the energy is disruptive to China. But then you heard Iran say, well, we'll allow China through. We're going to allow China. So they're trying to preempt that. But so the U.S. is going to have to figure that out. So that's what's going on there with those countries. So that's what I want to say on the markets right now, guys. So there's a lot going on. There's a sell-off. It's a correction against the April 25 lows. Okay. And this is also a lesson, and the market is unpredictable. The market is not a game of chess that you can figure out and win because you're smarter than the market. And I think some people learned that tonight, or learning that tonight. A lot of the quantitative and algorithmic traders are on the wrong side of this move tonight. They were positioned, the algorithmic community, and quantitative trading community were positioned for 700 and higher, then crash. They were all positioned that way. They are being blown up right now if they can't get out of their positions or they're not hedged. So they're going to shift now to sell. They're going to be sell bots. You see on Bibana, they're going to be sell now. They were buy bots before, all the way up. They're buy. They're going to be now sell the rip. So that's going to add a whole new dynamic of selling pressure to the market we haven't seen. So if you come into the market tomorrow and you're like, I want to buy the dip, and I see it rally, they're now in sell mode because the pivots have been broken tonight. They've been broken, and we'll show you that. So the quantitative algorithmic community now is working against you. They were working for you. That's why the market kept being supported constantly at these key pivots, and they just wouldn't break. It's just because it was being supported. But now tonight it blew up. But this is a lesson, even in that system, you can't figure out the market. The market's irrational. It's unpredictable, and you just have to trade each chart on its own. And if you did that, you would have understood that this was going to happen. We were going to go lower. Okay, if you tried to outthink the market, it was going to go higher. There was the same algorithmic quantitative community that I follow back in COVID before I had my channel that promised all their members and followers and subscribers at the time, which was a lot less than they have today, but they were still around. And they said, no, it was going to go to 360 SPY. That was where we were supposed to go, 360. In February, they were telling the people 360, just like they're telling 710, 720. That didn't happen. Even though there was a virus spreading and you could see it and the charts were breaking down all through the market. Oh, no, 360. And then finally, the market came down so much, it finally is like the algorithm said, okay, yeah, it's not right. It's the end of the 2009 cycle is now over. And then they sold, and boom, that's when you started getting to 2,000, 3,000 point down days. And that's when all hell broke loose in the market because the algorithmic community said, oh, shit. We were on the wrong side. We've been telling people to buy. So they were buying the dip as it was literally crashing. So I like I said, you got to be careful following who you listen to on the internet. Because one, they may not have a background in finance or markets. They may have a background just like you do, or even less. Their educational level may be even less than what you have, for all you know. You don't know who you're following. I put my background out there. You can go look. Go to my website. You can see my qualifications. You can see I'm not like just someone that just kind of like, oh, I can do a YouTube channel. Let's do it. No, I know what I'm like, guys. I'm trying to help people. So it's got to be careful who you're following out there, because a lot of people, they're caught up in their own emotion. They're caught up in their own, personal biases. And some of them just don't even connect the dots well, even play the game of chess well. They make a lot of mistakes. I watched. And I try to learn and not repeat mistakes that I see from traders out there, but they make their own mistakes. But then you do have this other group that they follow this algorithmic model, and it didn't work. Okay, so it didn't work. So now they're going to be selling. So like I said, it's going to have a lot of selling pressure to the market tomorrow, or even tonight, because they trade 24/7. Well, 23 hours out of the day. They're going to trade. So all I'm going to say is that's what's going on. I think that's all I want to say on the market right now. So there's going to expect violent volatility, right? Oversold conditions. But the general direction's lower. So we got our members. We know kind of a good idea gauge when this is going to end. Okay. Elite members, all members. I gave it in my online members update this weekend. Basic everybody. I gave it very clear, like where I think this sell-off could end. And that will be a much more sustainable rally in the markets. And then you'll get the decision, is the grand super cycle over or not? If the grand super cycle is over, the markets will crash after that bounce. And then everyone who bought that bounce, your calls will essentially, you'll wake up one day, be worthless. You won't be able to log onto your platforms. You'll be below your stop loss. That's what will happen. By definition, the grand super cycle ending will destroy most market participants, but that's the whole definition of a crash. You can't have a crash where everyone makes money and predicts it. It won't work. It's only 5% of trading will probably be able to survive it or understand it. The ones that are lucky and the ones that can see it. That's it. That's by definition. By definition, all the fundamental investors are going to lose money. Like in the Great Depression, there was very few that made any money. Everyone went bankrupt and they're on the street. I mean, that's what the grand super cycle does. It destroys the institutional trader because the buy and hold investor gets destroyed. So you got to understand that if the grand super cycle ends, that's probably how it will go down, because that's the only way it can happen, because people can just hedge real quick when they see it. So the market's going to make sure that they won't be able to do that. And then what I think will happen is they'll just say, hey guys, we can't open the market. We can't. And they will close the market. And they'll say, guys, you know what? We can't keep the market closed forever. So we got to open it. And this is the price we got to open it at. And yeah, it's below 20%. It's below all these rails, but it's nothing we can do. Sorry. It's too bad. We can't keep the markets closed forever. People need to get their money out. And that's probably how it goes now. But that I don't think is now. That is down the road. And that is after the first sell-off, if the grand super cycle is over. If it's not, we will bounce and go to new all-time highs. And that's still the primary view that I have. An extension in the grand super cycle is my primary view at this point, but that can change. Okay, so I think I've said enough, guys. I'm going to go ahead and go into your super chats, like I said, and we'll go from there. And thanks again for calling in. And what an interesting 2 or 3 weeks we've had. And I think we're all prepared for what's happening, and we'll go from there. So let me turn my camera off so you can see my screen. All right, good. Okay, so let's do that, and let's go to your super chats. So, like I said, the ones that I get, in the middle of the night, I got yesterday, I got them already saved, and then I'll add to the list. So we'll start with the top here, REI. Let's take a look at where we are. So it's like that 5 got done here. Now, yeah, I can see 5 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we can rally, as you can see. And it looks like it's starting a new cycle higher. Right? 3. And then this looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's your 3, 4, 5. So the thing about energy and oil, they were going into yesterday's close. Everything was in like 4s and 5s. And then, but tomorrow may change things. So if we gap up tomorrow, then of course this is a 1, 2, 1, 2. So I'm looking at ring energy. It's ending a major cycle. Okay. And it's ending in a flat ABC. So this is a new bull market. Indo. So Indo hit this little intraday box. We're just calling it a 1, 2, 1, 2 for now. We'll see where it goes. Here it only showing, does show 5 up a little bit. So I think we can label it 5. I can just label it as a leading diagonal on 5 coming in. Right. And that would indicate the trend is still higher. Right. And then I think obviously what's happening tonight, this is going to be gapping up tomorrow. So, and again, we're looking for the big gap up, the 3 of 3 of 3. I mean, at some point you need the big gap up that's going to define the move. Okay. There's no reason to sell it. And again, if you're all caught up in this, a lot of people chased this and got blown up, and they've even chased it before, but you can't chase this stock. So if we gap up to $8 or 9 or 10, let's say we go up there tomorrow, and you miss the move. If you don't own it, you miss the move. If you chase it, just expect to get blown up like happens. That's why our members buy them so early. If you bought it down here, you wouldn't, there's no reason to worry. You can just hold, you just wait. Okay, you just have to wait. But I do think it looks like it's ready to go higher. This TPET was an interesting one. We're showing a C wave. And again, it looks like we made the first cycle higher, and now we're in another cycle higher. So this looks like it has more upside coming. Let's take a look and get the low right. So it looks like we have a 1-2-1-2 setup here. Let's see. So we're moving in 3. We're going to go 1-2. So we're gonna move in 5 waves, but subdivide into 3s. So you have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So you would have another 3 waves. It looks like it's in the WXY structure. And then that gets you up to maybe 360. And then you pull back again, and then you do it again. So something like that. Okay. I think that's what we're looking for here. Something like that. And again, it's in 3. It's going to be subdivided into 3 waves. And then once C is done, it may be done forever. It may just go all the way back down. But as you know, it can also can keep going after it pulls back to where 4 is. But it looks like obviously more upside. Sunrun should be finishing this cycle here pretty soon for a relief rally or the low. The low went through a box, but the Russell's just getting beat up. So it's the casualty of the Russell and small cap situation, as well as its own company specific issues. So the next area of support for it will be right around $8, $7.49. And it could hit this area multiple times before it comes out. The problem with Sunrun is it's got this pattern that it's trying to, adhere to. Let me see if I can draw this correctly here. I'll get this out of the way. I'm just going to delete that for a minute. So you can kind of see how you see back in 2015, it tagged this kind of uptrend line several times, all these touches, and then finally it broke through on the 5th touch. And every time it pulled back, it kind of started to pull back right around this area. So you had to go through this accumulation period and then a markup and then a shakeout. So right now it looks like you see this right here. It looks like that, right? Look at the fractals, very similar, right? Very similar. And then you have here is your accumulation, but here you don't have any accumulation period, right? There's no accumulation period. So I wouldn't be surprised if this gets an accumulation period like this, and that develops somewhere, and this is the worst case, somewhere around this line here, right? As it, following it up, or right where this box is in general, right? We accumulate. So what that means is it could stay sideways for a year or so. So this may not, if you're hoping for like an instant riches, it may not happen. You may have to play the long game and wait and get through this. And then just like you saw here, then it comes back up and starts touching this again. And once you start touching this again, then you're close to a breakout. So I think right now you don't have this accumulation period. So I think that's what's missing here. That's not really sufficient enough so I think you got a longer sideways move and people will lose interest and leave this. And then eventually, maybe in a year or two, it will come out is like the most realistic expectation. So I think that's kind of where it is right now. So I think, are we like here? Are we like here? It's tough to say, but I think we're in this going to be like sideways area. And then at some point we'll come back up and then it'll pull back and come back up. And then at some point it will go, right? And just remember, solar stocks in general hate higher interest rates, but they love higher energy prices. So it's kind of like, can the energy prices be high enough that people just will buy it anyway? The cost, the ROI on this project would, on buying panels would still outweigh the cost of interest rates, in the calculation, in the model, the financial model, right? And so, but then you have to say, well, is these energy prices going to stay? As of Friday, most investors in the market were pricing in these oil prices were transitory. And where have we heard that from? these oil prices may not be transitory. There may be a new normal. It may not be 120, but the new normal may be 90, or we may go to, 150, 200. Well, let's say we even go to my final target of 220, and then the new normal is 100. So we're going to have a new normal, right? There's going to be a new normal, and it won't probably be $40 or lower, right? So I think that's something too investors need to realize, okay? And that will help. So that's going to help this industry drive sales. NEO, again, people should like EVs when cost of gas is high. They typically go higher. We usually see this. So we'll see how it trades, but it is also under pressure from small caps and valuation pressure and valuation compression. So it's got two dynamics that conflict with each other in where's price, who's going to win. Again, we just go with this chart. There's really no reason to change it. If we were to come down and go lower, then we would just have to put the X in here. Then we would have a three-wave connector here, W and X, and then we would just drop down to this area here at 330. And then we still expect more upside as long as we can hold this low. QNTM. So QNTM, like most of the quantum, broke these lows, right? So this means it's in a bear market decline, right? So when we step back and look at this, we only had 3 up, so there's never a guarantee for another swing higher. Now that we made another low, right after this move, it's now you have to assume it's in a bear market. So now this is the peak. Everything below that is now bearish. Okay, so we would label this as 5 waves down now, and not like we did. We're going to label that as a 5-wave move down because that's the direction of the trends, and we would expect more downside. Okay, so there's really no reason. And again, this is something that you have to understand as a trader. Like you have to know when to give up hope, right? Hope is as bad of an emotion as greed and fear. Okay, it's an emotion, and you can't trade with emotion. And if you're holding out hope, I would abandon ship on this one. It looks like it's about to break these lows, and when it does, when these lows break, you're going to have your own PayPal moment. It's going to be abandoned ship, but technically it hasn't broke yet. So I guess there is still a possibility it could whipsaw back up into. Okay, it could do that. So just be careful. It could do this here, come down at 3 and come back up and then drop later. But it's in a downtrend, right? It's clearly in a downtrend. So I would be very careful. Once you break this low, then I would be looking to short it in 3 waves until further notice. BBAI, I think there was a question tied to this one. Unfortunately, the question was dropped. So you may have to ask it again in the chat. But the question is, where is it going? I know where it's going to go. I mean, our target is 146. So we're looking at a big double correction, and that's 3, and then 3, and then a triangle, and then we need one more leg down, right? I think I can try to explain this here. So we have an A down here. So it looks like you have some kind of A wave down, right? And then you came up in B, and now you're coming down in C. Yeah, just looking at it here. So to me, it's close enough to be a double correction. I'll put B there, and then we would come down again in 5 waves. So it looks like, a little more downsides needed, or a lot more compared to, depending on how your perspective. Right. So once these sequences finish, it should be done. It may not make it to the box. It just needs to get back down to this A wave somewhere in the vicinity of that. And I think that's what we'll go with. Okay, for now. I'll look at the RSI real quick. You see that it's trying to curve. It's trying to squeeze higher here. You see that? So that's a double-edged sword. So it's moving in 3 waves. So there's a couple things. If it starts to rally, this would only be 3 waves down. Then, and if we start to correct this wave, then I would probably look at this as a bigger B wave. And it almost looks like it was trying to do that, but with what's happening tonight, I bet that's going to get rejected, that idea. But this was what it was trying to do on Friday, I think. It was trying to do something like this. I think it was going to try to do something like that. Okay. Or even this. The worst case scenario is it's what we had before, and then this is just 3 waves down, and you get a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you more than likely go through the box. That's probably how it goes to zero, goes to penny stock status, because you trap so many buyers here. So I think right now we won't know until tomorrow. It opens tomorrow and we see where it is. I suspect the B's in, and I would just revert back to the impulse that I had earlier. And I would just look for something like this to finish, some series of 4s and 5s. And then you should hopefully find a low. Okay, Zcash. So Zcash is showing 5 waves down as of now, but we need 3 waves. You see how it bounced already? So this is a different structure. It's a WXY structure. So this is about to break down. Okay, it's like rest of crypto. So the target we have is 361. And again, hope is the worst emotion you can have. I mean, I guess there could be a chance I could be wrong. To get this to reverse, we would need to see this turn around pretty quickly. But it looks like it's starting to break down on the daily cycle already turning down. In fact, this connector is so big, it almost looks like it's a connector for the whole wave, which would mean you would go below this target, wouldn't be valid anymore. I think you got to be really careful in this instrument, because this bounce looks like corrected the whole cycle, but you're still in the downtrend. See that? You're still in the downtrend. So this could have a biblical meltdown. Okay, it could be on the verge of, so this box is no longer valid. So I wouldn't trade this anymore, because until you can break out of that downtrend. Now, if you break out of that downtrend I just showed you on the weekly cycle, then that would change things, because then you could say, well, now I'm in a new uptrend, but you're still in the downtrend. And this looks corrective. In fact, this looks like a descending triangle, a bearish continuation pattern. So I'd be very careful in this. I'd be very careful in this. This is highly likely to revisit these lower areas and go full round trip. Okay, GUR again. Let's see here. This stock looks like it's still just kind of bouncing around in this X wave. It can even be in this X wave still. I mean, looking at it here, that's exactly what it's doing. It's exactly what it's doing. So this could end at any moment. Looks like 3 and then 3 and then 3. This could end and truncate at any moment. So I would be careful in it, but it doesn't look like it's done. And you're underneath the trend line, like the historic trend line. Very bearish. Again, there's no reason to have hope. Like, I would never hold stocks like this, because you just could be holding the gold goes to zero. There's no reason for hope. This is like, to me, this is a stock to short, if anything, now. But I don't see a short setup either, though, in it. So if I missed your question, you can ask it again in the chat, because YouTube cut the questions out. I just have the super chat, unfortunately. So if you put like, a narrative around it, I won't see it. Unless I got it tonight. Farm X is an agricultural play. You can take a look at this. I'm not sure what's going on there. We'll just say it's maybe something like that. Now, if we erase divergence, it'd probably be a 1-2, 1-2. So again, I think with this, we'll just kind of label. It looks like it's in the next trend higher. Okay. It's really, I really wouldn't want to overthink it. There's a lot of momentum built in here, so it's getting strong momentum. And the weekly is already taken out most of these peaks, but look what it can do. So it can, I guess that data is irregular. Yeah, that's probably just irrelevant data. So I bet we're going to risk divergence and it's just going to extend in a 1-2, 1-2. I do like to buy this sector and three-wave dips. This EONR, it's like it kind of made a flat here. And then, of course, it extended as we had anticipated. And then that looks like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we put 3 there, 4 there, and 5. Yeah, so I think that's good. I think that's how I would label it. Would I be surprised if it extends and this is a 1-2? No. Okay. But this is like a conservative way to label this chart. Very conservative way. But we expect, the expectation is more upside. Like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if it's like a 1-2, 1-2. IGV. So the IGV question here. So guys, 3 and 4, and we need another low to finish if it's a flat. So we need one more low. It doesn't have to be big, but we need to retrace this move. What do I think is going to happen here? Well, I mean, honestly, I think you'll make a right shoulder and then it's going to probably go lower. That's what I think is going to happen. But does it have to do that? No. So let's see the bounce and how strong it was from an RSI perspective. It's a pretty strong bounce from an RSI perspective. You see that? But let's look at the weekly cycle because this is definitely a grand super cycle correction. I would really want to see it on the weekly and monthly. So the weekly, you see, I think we're still in the downtrend. You see that? So this is a 4. Now, if the weekly cycle can break higher, if this can keep going just a little bit more, then this is a swing low. But the problem is it's only in 3 waves. And your top is only in 3 waves. So what that means is it will be 1 and 2. And then you'll get 3 and 4 and 5. So it would more than likely, that would mean it could go lower. If you make this 4 and 5, then that could be a major low. I'm not going to lie. That could be a major low. Now, we've talked about this too, where you can make a series of 1s and 2s that take years to play out. So I think, again, if people are buying this sector, they said a lot of retail piled in here. So if you're listening to me now, if you're this retail piling in trade, and if you're hoping for this, it may not work like that. Okay, well, energy is running for the next 10 to 12 months, whatever it is, this may languish. It may still be the low. I'm not saying it won't be. This could be a generational low for software, but you may have nothing to show for it after 2 or 3 years, as it makes 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And then in 2030, okay, now we break out. So you got to understand that can happen. We see it in sectors all the time, like all the time. It's not unusual. Okay, it's not unusual. Not everything can be in a wave 3 at once. Okay, so this is a big decline. It's still in the decline, so we would look for a 5, and then we would look for a big rally or the low. And then after that, we'll see what happens. If we keep rallying, then I would label this as a 1-2 in a 3-way subdivided move. And then 3, 4, 5. Okay. Serve. We're expecting more downside. This is probably getting ready to happen soon. Looks like you've got your three down here. So something like this. And then this is like an A wave. You can see the 5-wave move there at the end there. And so this is A, B, and a C. So it means a capitulation move. Many of these small caps look like this chart. Need one more move down, a sharp move down. Many of them look like this. And then yes, they should be a low. But like I just said with software, if you're expecting this, you need to like erase that from your mind. Now, we would love that. But that can't be, if that is your expectation and you bet calls and timing and all that on it, then you're going to be very disappointed, because the odds are the way we come out of this bottom is some kind of basin phase, and it's going to be 1, 2, 1, 2. And while you're waiting around, all these other things, agriculture, energy, natural gas, all that's going to be going like that. And you're going to miss all that, while your money is wasted away, hoping these high flyers come back like this. They may not do that. So I just want to manage your expectations, because after a big correction like this, a V bottom is very rare and unusual. What's more common is a basin phase. Okay, that's what's most common. And if you don't know what I mean, it's like something like this. I can draw it. Right? This is how, like that, a basin phase, okay? And you gradually come out, right? That's how these things usually play out. The sharp V bottoms are very rare, okay? Very rare. Okay, down. We called the top on this perfect, like literally to the penny. Our count, where there's no reason to second guess our count. We have a 1, 2, 1, 2. We are looking at delta at $32, $30. Okay, now the reason we say 30 is anytime we see these overlapping waves on leading diagonals like this, the market loves to come back down to this level between the 4 and the 2. And we see that constantly, and usually it's in a crash correction. And I remember giving this chart, I'm like, what's going to happen that's going to cause delta to crash? Well, now we know, right? And now it makes perfect sense. Energy crisis, jet fuels through the roof, and then yet they can't fly their routes the way they need to. Now you have terrorism threats. I heard airports were backed up this weekend and emptying out on bomb threats and stuff. So yeah, no wonder. So there's your wave 2. This is perfect. So I would expect more downside. We don't have any subdivisions, but you didn't see one here. I think this could be just a crash correction. If it's a crash correction, I'd be looking for this level here, somewhere in that area. HIMS, I saw was up after hours. We'll see how it opens. I mean, that may be the low at 1367. If it opens up like it was showing, then we would call the low in. 1383 is the low. I think, yeah, 13, right around there. If it fades or we don't open like it was after hours on Friday, well, then I'm looking for 1291. So, we only see 3 up. So we just have to wait. But obviously we're in a box, right? We're in the box. This was the target level all along. And we would, and the whole correction's over here, right? It's hitting this is the historic trend line. It's close to it. It wasn't quite a tag of it. I thought it could tag it. It just missed it, if maybe. So we would have a 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, it's that simple. So if we open up with a big gap up, we call the low in. It's in a new bull market phase. And yeah, if you get a pullback in 3 ways, it's viable. If it doesn't happen like that, then I think these lows come into play down here. Okay. The cipher, it has to hold this level, but I think we used the same logic before. We went away and did it right at 32 cents. You see, and that it's like a magnet. It's where it's going. There's really no reason to even overanalyze it. I mean, to me, that's where it's going. I mean, that's where it's going. We see it happen all the time. I mean, we can look at this chart and take a look. We're going to need to erase this divergence. It's going to have to come all the way down and take out these levels. And on the daily, it's going to have to do that. So there's really no other analysis needed but patience, right? And if you don't have the patience, well, you're going to lose more money. I mean, that's just the bottom line. Now, I think this is, if you're trying to label it, I think this is like your connector to right there, 3. And then this, I mean, I could force that to be a triangle. I mean, barely, depends what happened right in there. So I think we'll just label it like this. We'll just go W, X, Y. And then this is the connector for the wild wave. So then you have this connector here. Something like this, maybe, and maybe I'll put that there like that. So you're in the final leg lower. The capitulation leg. Cleveland Cliffs is, right now I'm saying it's in a flat correction. So this would end pretty soon, like very soon. You can kind of see, well, this, like if we are really going into a prolonged war, they're going to need steel, right? You're going to need to build things. So you can see why this maybe could come out fundamentally, even though they had a really bad earnings report. So this should end at any moment. Now, if it erases divergence, then it's a 1, 2, 1, 2, and then we are looking at a retest of this low. And if that low, then and I personally, I think it will probably break, and you'll get a big double correction, and then you're looking at $1.39, or it's bankruptcy. So there's a lot at stake here. There's a lot at stake. Okay, so that's Cleveland Cliffs. So this should bottom like any moment, if this is right, this count. But I would be watching the divergences. Let me see here. Let's go back to the 4-hour. That's the one that's most important, in my opinion. But it doesn't look good. I mean, I'll be honest, it doesn't look good because the 45-minute is already erased divergence. So again, I wouldn't get your hopes up. Just trade the chart you see. I still have it like labeled like this, but I can easily change it to a double correction off of this connector right here, and then make this 3 waves. This would become 3 waves, and we dive down to this area. Okay, I think I covered a few of these. Let me just go into the new questions I don't have on my list yet. So there was a question about if Bitcoin bottoms before the next like lower. Well, I think Bitcoin has got a problem because too many people are buying the dip right now. That's what bothers me about Bitcoin. The longer we stay up in this area, the lower we go in the box. Okay, it's just the fact of life. So again, I know, like I keep telling you, if you're bullish, you just want capitulation. You don't want to hang out in this box because it traps a whole new set of buyers that are going to push it even lower. So my thinking is Bitcoin right now, I would be looking for more like 48, 46,000 area. And you can't correlate it to where this is. They all trade on their own. So it has no correlation to where Zcash is going to be. So you can't think, and you got to understand that. And we've seen that before. Zcash moved, right? Bitcoin was in a bear market. Look what Zcash, these things just trade on their own merit. Right now, Zcash looks like it's in its final leg lower, and it looks like it wants to hit $116.83. That's what I would be more worried about. Is if I was trading Zcash, I wouldn't even be looking at this. I would be just looking at Zcash. And Zcash looks like it's about to have its Minsky moment, where it just goes into free fall. That's what it looks like to me, but I guess I can be wrong. So do what's best for you. Okay, and then we covered a couple more here. Cleveland Cliffs. I don't recommend buying Cleveland Cliffs right now. Even if I don't catch a D low, I'd rather get confirmation the cycle's over, the flat is over, instead of catching a falling knife to $1. Also, CSIQ. Is this setup still a play or a lower like run? I'll look at that. I'm not familiar with CSIQ. I'm not familiar with CSIQ, Canadian Solar. Yeah, I'm not sure. It's like we got that. So that worked out. Just didn't I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what I was doing over here. I mean, so we can go back and look at this. It looks like this made three waves up. So this looks like a triangle right here. A, B, C, D, E. So there's more downside. We're looking for like 1146. So I would be looking for more downside in this. Again, it doesn't trade with Sunrun. It has no you can't trade them together. It may have its own problems, its own fundamental issue. Like we trade each chart on its own. Although the sector, I like the sector in general. So something like this. What I don't like is this part of the cycle. Yeah, you see what happened. Let's go to the daily. So double corrected. It actually finished wide here. And then it bounced again. So it didn't allow the picture. People came in and bought the dip too soon. I'd actually put that there so you see the three waves. So it actually is doing a double from this box here. And we can draw that darker. So that means that box is not relevant because that's our connector now. So I don't think it looks good for this. I think this has got it definitely doesn't have the look of Sunrun whatsoever. See, that gets you all the way back to the low of 673. But the thing is because of the structure overall, you can break that low. We can break that low and whipsaw back up. So that low doesn't really matter in the end because of the structure. So because it can easily just do this, right? Yes, it could go to zero, but it could also do something like this, which is, I bet what's going to happen. Okay. I bet something like that's going to happen, but I can't guarantee it. But I think for right now, I would expect more downside. It looks like you have some kind of 5-wave move down here. And so that means you need another 5 waves down. So I bet you'll have heavy selling in the morning on this down. I don't know if it gets to the box, but it needs to finish this sequence. Okay. So Iran doesn't, seems like it can't. I'm going to try something real quick. I've tried to put this chat box on before. And let's see if it works. I don't think you can see it. I'm just trying to see because, again, people call in, they don't see the chats and the questions. And I'm trying to do it so that it doesn't mess our charts up. But yeah, I don't think it's working. Try one more time. Yeah, I don't know if maybe I just don't see it on my end. I'm just going to see if I can see this chat box. Yeah, I don't see it. I'll just get rid of it. We'll play around with that for another day. But anyway, okay. So the question is, Iran doesn't seem like it can militarily escalate further to get oil to hit 140, 200. Would a third party have to get involved like NATO and China? I think the disruption's bad enough now that it could hit those levels because it's all about panic and dislocation of price. and emotion. It will overshoot, obviously. So you can't, like, it's not about their capabilities. It's about what's actually happening right now. And there's panic in the markets finally. And so anything, the price can just keep going higher and higher. I do think that the question is, can Iran really disrupt, the supplies like they do and be persistent, or can they be stopped militarily? I don't think I think they have they have a lot of missiles. They're underground. They have a lot of drones. They have a lot of capability that's hard to get and get control of unless you put troops on the ground. And even then it's really tough. So they have this this way to wage war, and they have the land mass that surrounds the strategic area that that all the oil is bottlenecked into. So I think they could really disrupt the supply. It's 20% of supply of the world. Now it's not 100%, but it's still enough, and they can cause enough problems, I believe. And I believe the price could keep going higher, honestly, until the market sees that there's a possible solution or end game, right? Maybe to put in the strategic petroleum reserve on the market, I think that would help stabilize prices just because of the message it sends. And I would be thinking that would probably be what's going to have to happen is coordinated world, response of putting strategic reserves onto the market. I think that will stabilize the price more than anything else. But yeah, I mean, if that war escalates, the price will just keep going higher, right? But then there's we talk about demand destruction, right? Well, there is demand destruction, but there's some demand that you'll never destroy, that they'll pay any price because they need the oil. And that's going to be your governments, your defense industry, certain critical supply and logistics providers. They're going to pay whatever price they have to pay. So it's never a 0% demand destruction. It's not like COVID. COVID was we shut down the world economy. That's why oil went negative. This is a situation where oil, even with demand destruction, is not going to go negative. Okay, there's going to be underlying demand. It just means you may not be able to buy it. You may have to walk to where you want to go. You may have to take a bike where you want to go. You may have to take public transportation. You may need to go buy an EV. I've been telling you guys years and years, I'm like, people are going to be begging for EVs. When my oil forecast to $200 was sound, I said, and I just didn't know the reason. And now we may have the reason for getting there. And I said, when that moment happens, people are going to be begging for EVs and all sorts of alternative energy, solutions, because the price they're going to realize isn't maybe coming down anytime soon. That's why you think OIH is going to go to the moon, because you're going to need new wells drilled in places that used to be uneconomical. They're going to be economical. That's why rig is selling, because that's your ocean platforms now are more profitable. Like that's what all these charts are telling us is going to happen in the future, not now. These rig just got out of a big correction. OIH is still in out of a bear market, but still well off its highs. Those things are all going to hit threes to threes, like the GDX. What do you think the world's going to look like when it's not because GDP is going to be at 15%? Okay, it's going to probably be what we're seeing now play out. So that's my take on Iran, guys, a little bit more. So guys, thanks again. Yeah, I love to speculate. I do that. But I never make trading decisions off of my speculation. Just remember that we only make boxes. I like to talk because people do find that interesting, and I try to appeal to a wide audience, not just chart readers. I try to appeal to a wide audience, guys. So MOS and Tilray. All right, I'll take a look at that. You just have to remember with both of those, they're still in bull markets, right? They're not. Look, it's hard to understand this, but I want to make it very clear. Look, 1, 2, 1, 2. They're not going to zero. Like look where I'm showing them going. I have MSOS going to $18. I've had this box for over a year, maybe, 2 years. 2 years. So if you're shorting, I'm just saying it, if you're shorting right now, you're going against my longer term view, and I can't change my mind, and I won't. You gotta understand that. We are at the end of a correction, right? That's what we said. We're going to be at the end of a correction. What I think could happen here, because of the way we bottomed here, okay, it's tricky, because we did not bottom properly. You see that? We did not bottom properly. So what I think is going to happen is we're going to do the more this turns up, and it does look like it's taking out that peak, and it's taking out the whole cycle. So what it looks like it's going to do is going to form a bigger connector, and it's going to go back down again later. And it's going to do that. It's going to do something like that. That's what I think is going to happen. And what does that do? It destroys both sides of the market. It destroys your trading community. Your buy and hold investor will be just have to wait a little longer. Your trading community is good because the bears are going to get destroyed and then the bulls one more time. So that's what it looks like is playing out to me right now. Okay, that's what it looks like is playing out to me right now. So let's take a look at the specific count. Yeah, just kind of looking at this real quick. It's probably something like this. Yeah, probably will do that. This is my guess. Something like that. So that's what I would be looking for. Because we didn't really bottom properly here, the odds are it's not ready for like this wave. But I think it could do a short squeeze like you see here and then rug pull everyone one more time. Something like that. Yeah, that's what I think. All right, Tilray, we should expect nothing different, right? Let's take a look. So Tilray's chart. So Tilray, again, if it trades in its own world, it can, if it makes one more low with bullish divergence here, then that could be the end. That could be the major low for Tilray. That too is done. I would never recommend shorting it at that point, ever. Okay, never. And I still don't because, again, we have it as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You see, I don't have it going to 0. So if you're shorting it, it's like you're shorting, like I said, you're like holding a grenade where someone pulled the pin, but you don't know when the grenade's going to go off. And you didn't see when they pulled the pin either, but you're holding it. Maybe you can hold it a little longer. Maybe the grenades are done and you can get 4, but if you're wrong, this thing's going to gap up like 35 or 40% in one day. That's how this is going to go down. So you're right. You're right at the end. So I think if I labeled it like this, I would say you got one more low and that's it. Now, if you don't get that low, then you have 3 down and you can't bottom in 3. And then you go into this idea, this situation with a bigger connector once again. So then we would probably look at 3 down here. And then you would probably go back all the way back to B once again, go something like 3 and then 3 or 3 here. And then a whipsaw back up and then you come down later. But right now we don't see that in this chart. You see it in the other one, but not in this one. This one you just see it needs another low at this point. So I think that's what I would look for. And if MSOS is going to go up, this will likely go up. But if it makes this low and goes up, we would call the 2 in. If it doesn't, then we would call a whipsaw. So, and then if 2's in, then it will make, well, MSOS makes 5 waves. This will go up 5. And then MSOS will make a new low, but this will make a higher low. And it will trade in a different dimension. And this will be a leader in this sector. Okay. All right. There's a few more here. All right. BAYN. PAH3. Let's see here. Kurma. Oh. Okay, and PBB. Okay, PBB. All right. So I think we've done some of these before. So it's like we got that pullback in wave 4 here. But you see how that's pretty deep. Well, let's check out the RSI and see where we are with it. See, that's really deep. So I mean, maybe you could go like that and make another one too. Let's see. No, they can't even do that. Well, on the weekly, see, on the weekly, yeah, I think we'll go with a 4. We're going to go with a 4 here. So we're going to put this 3 here and a 4 here, but it can't go down much more. So if this fails and goes lower, then there is a risk of it being a corrective bounce against the all-time high. So you have to be careful, or a start of a leading diagonal, right? A 1 and a deeper 2. But either way, I don't see any real subdivisions that we can gauge this off of. I just see 3 waves, and it looks like it ended here with a shallow connector. So what I would say is this low has to hold. And if it doesn't, it will make a bigger 3 waves, and then this won't be a 4 anymore. Okay. So if that happens, we would go back down all the way back to the lows. Well, you'll go back to $24. And then you would either label it as a 1, 2, or it will break these lows and go into a whole nother cycle lower, which would probably be bankruptcy, right? Because there's no more room left. So this low has to hold. This 4. It's got to make this 5th wave. All right, Porsche, let's see what's going on with this one. Something like this. It's kind of the same conversation. You need 5. This looks like a lead in diagonal trying to come off the low. So you need this 5th wave. And then you want to come out. So I would be looking for a 5th wave. But again, if you break 31.95, it's just a corrective bounce. And this likely corrected this whole leg. And that would become 1, 2. And I mean, there's no more room, right? You're going to go down to like $8 or something. So this is a very important level. It's got to hold too, right here. If not, it's likely to have a catastrophic decline. So this needs a 5 as well. Here you have a connector that already failed. So it's trying to do a double correction, but it has very little room left to do it. And it's still got to go lower. I think it's going to break these levels. I think it's going to break down. Okay. So I would be careful in this based on what I'm seeing now. Boom. Looks like. Wonder if that's too big for a 4. Only 3 waves down. Maybe we do this. We put 4 and 5 there. Well, that's 5 right there. So maybe we have some kind of A, B, C, D. Yeah, we'll just do that. Put the 5 there, and that's the low. So we're building off the low, trying to. And you see the divergence. So it seems like it's trying to make an impulsive move off the top and come out. It's trying to turn. But it just hasn't. Look at this. See, it just came out. It just poked through. See that? It's just poking through. So it's at a very important moment in its life. A bull market is about to be born in this instrument. So maybe we can label it like this: 1, 2, 1, 2, or we could still be in 2 and come back down to 17. PBB. I put that there, just like we expected. 1, 2, 3, and then see here you have no subdivisions. So you need a subdivision. You see, so you need to get a bounce and a failure. have to get a bounce and a failure. So that's what I'd be looking for. So it doesn't look like it's finished yet. Also, just in general, this looks horrible. I mean, this chart looks horrible. See, this has to come down and take out this low. So that's your connector. That's like $1.50, $1.50. All right. So DNN, it is in the URA, and the URA needs to sell off more. So I'd be concerned. But the problem we have with this stock's in a flat. So we don't have a good way to target it. It looks like it would go lower. You can watch for when URA is in the box. But I mean, maybe 319, 392, you said 322, down to 379. Where are we at? So that was here. That was probably here. Yeah, I think it's in a flat now. So I don't recommend buying it. I haven't talked about it in a while. And this, in fact, this could become a 1-2-1-2. But I think it goes higher though. And on the grand super cycle, it should go higher. So it's a dip to buy. The problem is timing it. It's going to be tough. The only other way to time it is with the ETF it trades in. But even that's not guaranteed. 1-2. So maybe. Yeah, I mean, earnings is Monday. I'm not sure if it's morning or afternoon. I guess we'll find out. Something like that. Okay. SNCI, we haven't looked at that in a long time. Almost at our box at 24, but that really is going to mess us up right there. Again, people buying the dip too soon, and that can happen. That looks like 5 waves down, but that's not a finished correction. You know what? We're probably making a triangle or something. The question is which way? I think down. So it's just kind of back off for a minute. So that could be too, but I don't think it is. So I think A, B, C, D, E. And then this turns into this. Something like that is what I'm thinking. But the problem you have with this, just I'm going to put out a disclaimer, is you've peaked on the grand super cycle and you made 5 down. You can't end in 5. So it's going to double correct. So these lows are going to break. At some point, this low is going to break, but there's no room for it to break. So this could be one of those stocks. This could be, and again, I don't know from a fundamental standpoint, this could be a Lehman-like type stock. You wake up and it's just collapsed overnight. So if you're playing in it, I personally would have my stop loss essentially 0. If you're playing in it. If not, then you should trade something else. Go buy AMD or something. So I think we're going to do something like this. But if that's the bullish interpretation. Now, if it's bearish, Then we have to go back to 2 is done, right? Or A, B is done. We'll call it B. And then we would have 1, 2, 3. And then 1, 2, 3. And then you get your lights out move. And then that gets you to 0. So my thinking is it's got to stay above 2765 to support the bullish case. So I would say you could support the bullish case as long as you're above that level. Once you breach that level, I would be expecting meltdown in this. Nat gas, oil. Someone asked about oil. Thing about nat gas is it should follow oil higher, but its lack of doing that means investors still believe this is transitory. And once they realize oil is not transitory, natural gas will follow higher. How high? It can go much higher than where we are now. I mean, we're talking from 3 to 9, 10. So that means oil should trade pretty nicely. But it isn't, because most investors don't feel that. They feel that it's transitory. This isn't going to last. So the way oil goes bullish is like this. When it stays above 15. And see, there's a little bit of an impulse there. So it's very, very interesting chart. I think what I'd like to do is label it as a 3-way move. And then label this as like an ABC. So as long as you're above 1556, I would expect oil to continue higher. And it's going to do this whipsaw, right? And perhaps it can come back up, somewhere up in this area. And then that's just a safe, like, kind of squeeze target, right? Because I see 5 done, and then this forms a connector. Now, what would be really interesting is if we didn't get a proper bounce here, and the CLA can come back up to like 110, 116. So we don't know. I think it looks like it's trying to break out higher. Let's go to the weekly time frame. So it's still in this massive bear market, right? You see that weekly time frame since September 21. In fact, we could draw it from this peak on April 22. Let's see which one was higher in price. I have to go back and actually see it. Okay, we got to use this one. So we're going to use this 22. So this is April 22. So if oil can break through this line, you're going to get an explosive move higher, right? That's the weekly cycle. Let's look at the monthly cycle. See, this doesn't even look normal. Look at the monthly cycle. It looks like it's long overdue for a pump, just from a technical standpoint. Look, it looks nothing like its previous cycles. Maybe this one, right? There you go. So maybe it's like the bear market, the natural gas bear market between 2015 and 2018. So what happened back after 2018? Let's see what price did back then here. So oil went from, it's hard to see it, 25. So it went up 400%. So maybe we'll get a move in oil. Just 300% would be about $60, right about here. So to me, I think the market is forgot about this. They're not paying attention. This is what happens. The April lows, guys. When we were off the April lows in 2025, everyone was paying attention to big cap tech. They were piling in big cap tech. That's all I heard about. But guess what? They all forgot about the small caps. Every one of them, every trader, every influencer, no one got into the small caps. But guess what? Our elite members did. And we got into SoundHound and all these other small caps because they forgot about them. They were so fixated on AMD and getting the 10 to 15% on AMD. But we got massive gains on the small caps and, of course, the miners and metals and stuff. So they forgot. So the market, I think, is forgetting the natural gas trade right now. They're not thinking. They're so focused on oil. They have money like staring at them in front of their face, and they're not even thinking about, because they're so worried about freaking oil. But these are going to trade together. Natural gas will lag oil, but anytime, a lot of times, if you see oil rise, you're going to see natural gas fall. Only if it's transitory, if they think this is a pump and dump. And that's where I think the market either is completely ignore natural gas, or they think oil is going to be a pump and dump. Oil, that the war is going to be over tomorrow and oil will be back down here and everything will be back to normal. That's what they're thinking. If they were thinking this is the new normal, natural gas would not be trading where it is right now. It would not be. People would be panic buying to lock in their contracts right now. And guys, if you work at a place, or you can lock in your rates, or if you're in a decentralized market, you need to be thinking about, because they're not paying attention. I'm telling you, they're asleep at the wheel. Look, you got oil at 100 and natural gas has barely moved. Look, it barely moved. This market is totally asleep at the wheel right now, and natural gas, I think. That's my opinion. And I hope I'm wrong, because that would mean higher prices for utilities for a lot of Americans out there, because they have natural gas utilities, right? And electricity prices and all that go to natural gas. Natural gas is kind of feeds everything. All right. Algo, USD, and Link USD. All right, I'll take a look at those. Okay. Algo. So we're looking for this 3 and 3, and now you need 3. This is very technical. Look how it came back down in 5 waves, and it back tested the neckline and just crushed. So it's just a very technical trade, setup. In fact, it's only in 3 waves, which is fine. That's even easier for us to label. But as you can see, you're missing a lot of the downside. The subdivisions aren't there. So this is going to continue lower. And again, hope destroys a trader. I'm just saying, hope will destroy a trader. But this looks like it's got more downside coming. At least another leg. Another one of these is coming. Okay, so I would expect that, and then maybe it can find a low and show that, and then make this whipsaw. Right, this is when the crypto market finally stabilizes, but it does look like more downsides coming. I would be very careful in it. And then Link is one that we have on our watch list, and so we have a big 3 waves down, a big 3 waves up. And now we need another 3 waves down to finish this massive correction. So looking at it from a count standpoint, it looks like 3 is here. Yeah, it's just kind of a shallow connector there. So a 3 and a 3, and then we're coming down. And then you have another 3 up, and there's your connector. So I'll get rid of this thing. So it's all the crypto charts are the same. One more leg down. See that? All of them show this. I could take this chart. Everything shows one more leg down. Missing a swing down. Everything is. So this should make another move down, but it's going to likely break these lows. How low will it go? I mean, if you come all the way back to its history, this wave 4 comes all the way back down to $1.40. I wouldn't be surprised if it comes back down there, $1.30, as a capitulation move. And then you form this. I guess you call that a generational buy in Link coin. So, yeah, crazy. And I'm a student of Link. I traded Link back in this pump. I traded that. And then this flat, I remember this flat. I was pumping gas into the flat, and I had to scramble to buy it as it was crashing. I was scrambling to buy it. and I couldn't buy it fast enough because it's like, oh shit, it's into a flat. And no one knew like what it was, but I knew it was a flat. So it's crash. Like I remember this whole thing. And then if you could have got the leveraged, if you could have got one on this breakout and you could have got linked with leverage, boy, you made a fortune. This was great. I love this coin. But the problem is the bear market's been tough. But I've always followed it. We had this accumulation area here. This was an area sell. We're trying to follow it, but the bear market's been brutal. It's going to do this massive correction. It's just on a higher time frame. In hindsight, it wasn't clear. Now looking back, I mean, hindsight, it's clear now. But back when we were here, it looked like it was trying to come out. Right, 1, 2, 1, 2, but it just turned into a big bear market, kind of like what ETH is doing. And it followed, by the way, this kind of trades with ETH's cycle too. Okay. And then UVIX, the sell target in UVIX is, I think the first area that you're going to run into sellers is going to be right around, not there. That would be a hell of a day if it got up there. 14, like $13, $14 right there. Then it's likely to get crushed. And then if it were to go higher, it will form a left shoulder. Now, if for some reason it can get through this level and close, the next target would be 26, 24. Okay. And then if it gets through that target, we're probably in a 1987 style crash. In the next area support would be about 56. And then after that, 106. And yeah, we would probably be down 20% limit down. You probably wouldn't even be able to get on your platform to sell it to take profit. So the first target, first things first is $13, $14. That's the target. That's the target. Okay. And yeah, we accumulated our elite members on this area. I was just saying, be patient, just hold this thing. Go, you can trade other things, but this was just tuck away for a rainy day. That's all this was. And now we have the rainy day. Hell, it's a hurricane. More than a rainy day. And maybe like, maybe I don't want to sell. The problem with this UVIX and TVIX and these things is in a real crisis, it can go much higher than you realize. And I think that's what I learned about trading it in the pandemic. Every time I thought TVIX was done, it went up another 200-300%. I mean, I remember buying TVIX in like mid-February, and it was up like 600%. I was like, oh, I saw that. And then I looked, it's like up another 400%. So you just never know. Like it's really the crisis. If the crisis continues to escalate and get worse each week, this will keep growing and growing. It's only when the crisis starts to diffuse will this diffuse. So that's why it's so hard to make money on UVIX, because most crises can't last that long. They only last recently a few days. COVID was 30 days, and hell, it went through the roof. What if you have a crisis that doesn't the last 6 months? It gets worse every week. It's getting worse and worse. So that's the only way these kind of products can make money consistently. That's why they get crushed like this, because the crisis can't. The fear can only last so long, because then you have to be more afraid than you were the week before. So it's got to get, I mean, at some point it's as bad as it's going to get. So can it get worse? Yeah, I think this crisis can get worse. So maybe this can go a little higher. I can imagine the crisis getting worse. All right. On NKT and MLGO, NKTX, that actually closed green on Friday. So that's a huge clue. Small caps were destroyed, but this closed green. This is ready for go. This is ready go time. I mean, we've been in this thing for a long time. The idea on this has always been, you saw how we kind of broke out, and then same idea, but this is even a larger consolidation period, and we just holding. So if the count is right, as long as we stay above 232, it's go time. If we break 232, then it's going to double back down to 218. And that, to invalidate the bearish view, the bullish view, you have to break 171. So it's bullish above 171. As long as you're above 171, this can become a lot of different counts. I'm going with this count for now. And then MLGO, I'm not sure what that one's up to. I haven't looked at that in a while. It's I think one of these ones that then go to zeros. Let's see where we are with it. We're getting close to the end. I guess that's a good thing. Let's see here. That bounce is, let's look at that bounce. Yeah, it's pretty strong bounce. Yeah, I mean, it looks like it's trying to make another 3 down from here. A W, another X, and another Y, and an ABC. So it looks like it's trying to extend this wave a little further. See, that could have been the low right there. That could have been the low, but it wasn't. It wasn't. Unfortunately, the market couldn't hold the low. That could have been, technically, that could have been it. It could have been go time right from that level. But as soon as you broke that low, it wants to take another leg lower. So I think you have to wait because of this. This looks like a 5-wave move. So you probably need to wait another leg lower, and then maybe it can pump again. So I would be waiting for this final push lower, and then maybe you can bottom fish it or do whatever you want to do. All right, ASPI. All right, so that looks like 5 down from here. That looks like it's about to go 3 of 3 to the downside. So if this chart is right, tomorrow is going to be a really bad day for this stock. The only hope is maybe you're still in 2 and it can whipsaw back up to maybe $6, $6.79. But you broke these lows already. So this path to me is set. So I'd be looking for this. I don't think there's much to analyze here other than the 2 is in, but it can whipsaw back up a little bit higher at 673. But I'd be looking for the big flush on this. All right, Tesla, short-term targets. I wouldn't recommend trading it on the short term, but it does. Apparently, if the market's going to sell off hard tomorrow, our count is right on Tesla. It's likely to hit its 3 of 3. So our target we're looking for is 290, 300. So there is no, the short-term target is the whoosh. You're in the 3 of 3. So I would not be catching this falling knife because look, you just broke major support. I'm assuming we don't rally into open tomorrow. I mean, assuming the sell-in holds, we're going to open below this support, and then this supply is going to push this price rapidly down to the next level of support, which is probably around, I have to guess, 332. So that would be my first short-term target. So I would look at 332. That's probably where this wave 3 ends. Okay. So I would be looking for 332, but I think it could still go lower to 290, 300 after a bounce. Okay. And that's Tesla. Pepsi's weird because Pepsi's chart shows bullishness, but it hates inflation. It didn't do well in 2022. So Pepsi, again, we don't overthink it. We just trade the count. So there's the count. It's in a box. It says, oh, it's going to go 3 of 3 tomorrow, right? That's what this count says, which would be risk off, right? Staples going 3 of 3 means risk off. But, and I'll say but, let's take a look back at the bigger picture. You see that? We only have 3 up. This could be just a corrective bounce for this leg. Yeah, 3 and 3. We never made 5. So if we break 152.72, I would start to be getting worried that this is a corrective bounce. And then the next target for Pepsi would be this. $104.87. And I'll just draw that box just so I have a reference point, just to have that. But We can look at the RSI and see if there's any clues of something like that happening. So see this weekly RSI, watch the trend line. If this trend line breaks, then it's likely coming to this box. If it holds, well, then you're in the advance. You're still in the advance. So right now, we would say we're still in the advance, but I think tomorrow will be a very important day for this stock in the direction it's going to go. And again, the personality of it is, I think it hates higher inflation. Let's go to 2022. What happened in 2022? See, it's just basically kind of just went sideways, didn't really do much. So anyway, MOBX. Okay, so that's a popular one, MOBX. It made a lot of people a lot of money. And we got that one right. Okay. It actually exceeded my wildest imagination because we saw, again, we did the forecast originally. We were here, we were projecting a breakout, a whipsaw, but my whipsaw was back to 60 because I figured we would hit this resistance. We were going to backtest this resistance line. See how we did that? I thought that would happen. We would whipsaw back up and do that, but it actually ended the whole correction. So something fundamentally changed with this company, so significant that it's in a bull market now, right? So my next target for this would be $2.80 and $3. If it can hit that, yes, there's a possibility for this rug pull because you have a lower low. You see that and how we bottomed in 3 waves. So, but what we've seen with connectors like this is they create bull markets, but they can go on for years like that. So we can't be afraid of this. So we just kind of trade it in a bull. So it's a bull market now. You trade, you buy the dips in 3 waves. Okay, that's what you do. Looking at this, we can just try to draw the wave count. 1, 2. And then 3. That looks like a triangle for 4. And then 5. Looks like 5 is done. Now, it needs to correct. It would be nice to have it come back down to 60 cents to backtest this breakout. But it may not do that. But it should, we would expect it to go higher. The problem is we don't have any subdivisions here. So we could still be early in wave 2. But we also know it could be done here. We just don't know. It's early. So I think you got to let this play out more. But I wouldn't be surprised if it comes back down to this area to backtest this support. Okay, and then it goes into this advance. So if you're looking to get on this, I would be looking for this wave. I think if we fall back in the channel, that's deadly. Even though, we'll fill the gap. I don't think you want it to be in here. I think you want to stay outside of this. Because if you fall back into here, then I would be worried that maybe we're not in the higher degree X up here, but maybe we're in this X here, and then we collapse. So to me, that's the important level. Because if we break 60 and close back into the downtrend, then we're probably back in X, and then it's going to finish its correction. But this type of momentum is unusual, even for a penny stock. So it had a big fundamental news change. It's what all penny stock traders dream of, right? You wake up one day and you're up 500% and you're like, oh, wow, isn't that great? I didn't even have to buy calls. So I would be looking for something like this in MOBIX. USAR, yeah, that one we're worried about the sector correcting and pulling back, and that's no different. I would be careful in this instrument. Target is a lot lower. It looks like some kind of ABC correction trying to form here. Let's see. For actually 3 waves, WXY. And then obviously there's your W reference. So you see we're missing a leg lower. I think that's starting its journey down. I don't know if you come all the way down to this box at $7 or not, but we should break these lows. and finish this too. Just like that. And then the U's, I worry about them because it trades in the URA. And the U's, I have it as finish at 5. So the U's could be finished the entire cycle from its all-time low here. So the first area to buy this would be right around $15, $13. So that's the box I run here. Okay. It is around the wave 4 area. Okay, so it could find support right here. But just know that since it is correct in the whole thing, there's a possibility of a bounce and another low. But I think that's the box. That's what I would be targeting. It looks pretty straightforward chart to me. Yes, could it whipsaw around like it did here? See how it like whipsaw? It could, yes, it can go back up, but I expect this to go lower. It does not look like we're there yet. See, it looks like we're breaking down. We're in the final move lower. That's what it looks like. We're pushing down into the box. Rare earths. So when you look at the rare earth ETF, it definitely looks like it would have a better opportunity for a wave 3 in the future when it's finished its correction. If you look at this ETF, see, it's already basing. Look how long it's been basing in it for. It's been basing in out 2014. So it is basing out for over 12 years of accumulation. You know what chart looked like this a year ago? GDX, SIL. And guess where they are? They're up here. Where do you think this is probably going to be in the future? Up here. I can't tell you when exactly, but my guess is this is going to be coming out. And we have a series of 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So you've already made the 1, 2s. You see? It's not fair, right? All these investors that waited so long, look, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and we can just hop in and join the ride, 12 years later. That's what I'm saying about buying software, and guys, like you could be in that thing for 12 years for all you know. Like, who knows? God knows. I'm sure at one point this was a great thing to buy. I bet the guys that bought it in 2011 thought they were like, oh, it's great. I'm going to buy the dip. And then, oh, I have to wait 14 years. 14 years to get out of this. I mean, that's what this is saying. So right now, rare earths is in correction too. And then when it's finished, it should be a big move higher. Okay. It could finish early. We don't know when it's going to finish, but look, it could go deep too. Look, see, look, a lot of white space. So we don't know. My guess is it's probably coming back down to 78 or 77, somewhere around there. Okay. All right. I'll take a look at some of these other ones here. Palantir. Palantir, we're looking for one more leg lower. It's tricky, but our count on Palantir is a WXY. The problem is this bounce is starting to become too large. Let's look at the higher time frames. See, it's right at the edge. See, we just pierced that line on the daily. So I would also want to see that on the weekly, but the weekly is still in the downtrend. Still in the downtrend. Okay. So it is still in the corrective structure, but it's getting close to potentially ending it. And you're like, oh, that's great. Well, no, that's not great because you didn't really bottom properly. So yes, it could rally more, but it would likely go down. But it's at a very important moment. So this is either going to make this final leg lower, right? A, B, C, or we will rally and it will form a more complex correction. And we'll have to study it very carefully, okay? And then it will come back down later. So I think right now we just expect for more downside. My guess is where we're going with it is somewhere down in this wave 4 cluster, $76, $71 when it's all said and done. SOXL, it's not something I'd recommend buying, but since you ask, here, that's a nasty rejection. Okay, so here, if that's the connector, you could see support right around 37, 30, 32, 44. So you could see a bounce here. So this shows obvious more downside. And we know the sector's going to sell off, right? I mean, it's not a shocker, right? Look what's going on tonight. So that's the area. Look, a lot of chart support. Look at that. Oh my gosh, that is massive chart support right here. Okay, that's going to be massive, massive chart support right around this area. So just know that. So if you're a semiconductor bear, you may want to watch this, because once you get down to this 39, 37 area, you would have to think it's going to bounce. Now, it can go lower. It can easily go lower. And then you see you broke these highs, but that's meaningless in the end because it could be a five-way move up. See, the problem with the semiconductors is some people have this thing labeled like, let me see here. This is the triple ETF. So this is N3. Probably something like this. This is what I think is going to happen. And this is going to be some kind of run-in flat. I bet. That's what I bet's going to happen. Or it's already done. X. And then actually, yeah, this looks like 5 waves up, maybe. From here. Yeah, so this looks like 5 waves up. So this would be like something like that. Maybe something like that. This is why, again, I'm not like, oh my gosh, it's going to the Great Depression. I still think the market can extend and make new all-time highs after whatever we're in is going to end. Now, if it's the end of the grand super cycle, I don't know if this can happen, but maybe semiconductor hardware does enough to support the sector. The semiconductor hardware may still be okay, even in a bear market, because the bear market, I predict at the end of the grand super cycle is not a sell everything bear market. It's a rotational bear market where producers and cash flow and producing companies actually get a bid. NVIDIA would be, one of those. And some of the others. So I think we just leave this labeled that way. That's the label I have for it. It matches what I have for the SMH as well. So, all right. BABA's tricky because BABA could be in a box. And I would be careful just buying it right now. I think it can go lower. I mean, by our system, it is in a box. But I think given the situation in the market, I think it could go to the bottom end of the box. But it is in one. You have 3, a connector. Now, the question is, do we see the subdivision or not? I could call that the subdivision, and then we would call the low end. But if we don't see it, we could bounce and go a little lower. I'd just be careful. Let's see something here. Well, Nikkei's down 6%. Yeah, Hang Seng, I don't see trading yet. So I guess with BABA, you have to just kind of hold your nose and buy it, just buy it if you believe in this path. But this is where I can say I can be wrong. But I look at BABA, I look at the K-Web, I look at the Hang Seng. I think it goes lower, okay, if you're trying to pinpoint your entry. But we've seen time again on our channel where a stock hits a box and just rebounds, and then the narrative emerges, and you're like, oh, that's why it was bouncing. So you guys can decide on your own. All right, and then this FUTO, not sure if we have that one charted yet. Oh, it looks like we do. So we have this WXY and ABC. So this wants to break out, okay? This looks like it wants to break out after this correction's over. And of course, how fitting it does a flat to rug pull investors, right, that chase it. So it's in a flat. Looks like here, we'll kind of try to label this. So to me, it's got the wave 3 hasn't happened yet because you haven't got the separation. I couldn't call that 3, too much overlap. So probably going to get that wave 3 moment tomorrow and that separation lower and down. Normally it comes back to the wave 4 low, so that would be all the way back down to 75. So I'd be looking for somewhere around this area, and then it would stabilize. Okay, something like that. Yeah, I'll look at the main indices before I leave, and then I got to wrap it up. All right, Illumin. So Lumen's in a tricky spot because it's got to hold this low. So I mean, if not, it's another connector into would go deeper, right? And it could do that. So I think you have to be careful in it because it looks like it's trying to do a double correction, and that would take us down another leg. So that box gave that reaction, but it could, if it does another leg lower, you're going to be looking at it coming back to 379, more than likely to touch and see this. Let me see if I can draw this. Something, maybe touching like this trend line potentially. So I would be careful in it. It looks like it's trying to do that. It hasn't broken the pivot yet, so I would not assume that's going to happen. So I would just wait patiently, see what happens, and then let's see, circle. Again, if crypto's about the meltdown, I would not want to be in circle, but do what's best for you. So let's take a look here. So it looks like the good thing is this sequence looks finished. The bad thing is it's in 5 waves, right? Because you can't finish in 5 waves. You have to finish in 3 waves. So we know it's going to take another leg lower, right, at some point. And the question is when, and it really depends on when crypto turns. So I think, I suspect crypto is about to turn at any moment to the next leg lower. And when it does, you'll get seen. I'm not sure where it goes. Sometimes we see these just shake out, just boom, a quick shakeout to finish it. But other times we see it go to 0. So I can't predict where, but as you can see, there's massive hidden bearish divergence. But look at the RSI here and look at where price is relative to the same RSI level. It's just it's obviously reloaded. A whole new set of buyers are trapped. See this? This is telling you a whole new set of buyers is trapped like it was here. And look at all the selling it created. It's going to probably do the same thing. So it trapped a whole new set of buyers. I suspect it's about to turn down, but I can't, we don't have the data yet. Then Coinbase also, we have that turning. That was actually in a short area, and I think it's turned already from the short area. See this short box? So we have this turning down, making a new low in 5. Now there's a possibility in Coinbase, this is a 1-2-1-2. And if it is, this will be a meltdown like we've never seen. It'll probably come all the way back down to this $61 level. That's not our primary view. Our primary view is just another minor low. And then we rally hard, and then a huge decision for the crypto market. This would be all of crypto. Another leg lower or new all-time highs. But all of crypto needs this other. They need one more low. Silver needs another low, and again, we're not in it. We predicted this downtrend. We saw this turn lower. In fact, we even played this little bit of an upside. And now the buy area on silver is at $56. Stop at 44, and we could be in its wave 3. That doesn't look good. So it looks like it's starting this wave 3 down. And then, of course, we would expect to go higher. On the higher time frame, I'm willing to put silver as a 1 here and a 2. I'll update it later, but I think this would become like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this would become a big 1, 2. So it's another 1, 2. So what it does is it really loads you up for the future. So silver will be great for the future. It's going to probably go to levels no one can even process in their mind, but there's some pain coming to shake out the people who chased it up here. And then UNG, we don't label UNG, but I can tell you natural gas, the view I gave on natural gas is it's higher. above its low, right? This low. As long as you stay above 277, higher, UNG higher. You don't work in a situation like this. You should have market bought it on Friday. I mean, I'll be honest. Like, to me, traders are asleep at the wheel on natural gas. They're waking up though. I guarantee you this is gonna be a lot higher soon. I guess I should be careful. I can't guarantee anything. I think it's gonna be higher. I can't see oil. The only way this doesn't work in natural gas is if they crush oil, because there is some peace in the Middle East or something. There's like some kind of peace in the Middle East, or everyone's, happy and, and everyone's good, then natural gas will get crushed. But so I think from my point of view, as long as 277 on the futures is good. Now I'll look at UNG for you, but I remember I had it labeled bearish at first because this was pre-war, right? Now what I'm projecting out is, well, what if it whipsawed back up? So let's see, what if we whipsawed back up in B, we'd have 1, 2, 3. So that would be your low right there. Okay, whoops. So your low would be right around 994. And then we would whipsaw back up. So we go like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we would be looking for somewhere around 2566 or more. Now, the other target, again, I'm not trying to like get people all like bulled up on this, but there is a chance. There is a small chance maybe it's done. And then we come back up to 166. Okay, so I don't know. But I would expect, given this environment, it would be stupid and foolish of me to say, oh, it's going to go lower. I mean, there's no, like, to me, it's just like, buy it. Your stop loss is your pivot. Maybe you can use this one instead. Yeah, use this one, 1113. Look at the risk and look at the potential reward you have, is how I look at this idea. And who cares how it's labeled at the end of the day? At some point, you just have to understand it from what's going on in the market. Right? When COVID hit, did you worry about getting Novavax at $1 or $2? No, you just bought that shit. You just bought it because you knew that's the trade to be in. Right? You don't need to chart. Half the people that buy it, the traders, then you don't need to chart that. You just know, buy Novavax, buy Moderna, buy Pfizer, buy BioNTech. You could have bought, you didn't need to chart any of that. And this is like the same kind of idea, if this crisis can persist. So that's my only disclaimer. If for some reason Trump tacos or Iran capitulates, then of course this trade will unwind violently. Okay. So that's what you got. All right, but I don't think that's going to happen. High peak energy. So this is a classic go to zero. It looks like you even broke the low. So these are, like I say, these are stocks I usually don't trade, but since you've asked, I'll do my best. It looks like something like that. And then that looks like 5 waves down, but see, looks can be deceiving. So it's not though. But what it is interesting is it's trying to turn off of the weekly cycle. See that? It broke out. So we just broke out. So this just broke out on the weekly cycle. So this is going to have a bounce. And what? It's energy. Shocker. Are we shocked to hear that? It's going to bounce. It's energy. So yeah, no wonder it's bouncing. I mean, geez, it's like A, B, C, W, X, Y, right? A, B, C. So it looks like that 3-wave move is done. So now rally higher. And of course, your dream would be it comes up and breaks 38. And it might do that. It may very well do that. So we would expect it to be in a new bull market above 388. So this is buy the dips, as long as you're above 388 for now. And it looks like to me, it's a 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. It would look like to me it's a 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So I bet tomorrow it's going to be up huge. I bet tomorrow this thing's going to be up huge. something like that. Okay. I think that one's pretty straightforward. Yeah, that's an interesting one. What did they, whether it's their oil and gas production, what's their market cap? 700 million. So it's a big company. I just never heard of them. All right. Yeah. It's a US company. We'll keep an eye on it. Keep an eye on that one. All right. USEG. US Energy. Another go to zero. Yeah, I won't even bother labeling that, but we'll start from the low point there. Now you see that big pump? No divergence. So that pump reset the whole cycle. So you're in a whole new downtrend from that pump. The only hope you have is if it whipsaws around on that connector, which it looks like it's trying to do. It looks like it's trying to do that right now. So I would say, as of now, that's what I would expect. So I think it's gonna. I wouldn't even worry about what that's labeled. I would just worry about you're in a C leg now, and you're trying to trend higher off of this low. It looks like you're moving in 3 waves off these lows. So I would look for something like this, and then have it do something like that. So again, that may have been a dip buy on Friday. Yeah, it was flat. And it looks like another small cap energy play with how much its market cap. Now it's 41 million. Now that is a small cap. But we saw with these little gold miners, when the sector gets moving, and we'll keep an eye on this one. Yeah, this one, unfortunately, if you're not in it, it may be too late. It may pump tomorrow. You may wake up and it may already be up here, maybe too late. But if not, there's a possibility to get in on this one. And again, you'd want to stay above 91 cents to try to play this breakout, potentially. Okay. It looks like it's going to break out. I mean, when I looked at the daily and weekly, like the weekly cycle, it's trying to break back out. See that? So the market's like, nope, we're not ready. We're going to do a flat, and then we're going to destroy the bears probably before they crush it again. Please go active soundtrack to other languages. I'm not sure how to do that. If you can put in the chat how to do that or something, I don't mind doing that. LAC with those material group, I think it's got more downside, and but it is buyable, guys. At some point. Okay, I didn't talk about the indices. I will show them real quick. Ugh, nightmare. So again, the Dow Jones, like guys. The next area of support for the Dow Jones for me would be at 45,700. So that's a couple thousand. That's a couple thousand away. It's pretty much an air pocket till then. So you've got 2,000 points of an air pocket. I would like to see a technical back test of 45,000 and hold. Now, if we breach that level, then you're at the grand super cycle level at 40,000, 41,000. And then if that breaks, pretty much the bubbles popped in the market. The grand super cycle's over, and we may see something like we've never seen before. Okay, so those are your levels. But the first level is 45,800. And then like the SPY is already in the air pocket. Now see, I'll show you this, like SPY. You see this little pivot right there, that little pivot right there, 669, whatever it was. The hours that they were like, as long as that held, there was hope for a pump. There was a hope that this could whipsaw back up in a corrective move. But as soon as we broke that on futures tonight, we're going to open below these levels. Now, are we surprised? No, because when you look at the bigger picture, we had months of support just giving up. Look, we had months of support broke and closed below. I mean, so are we surprised we're seeing this? No, of course we're not surprised, right? This Where's the air pocket? Where do we go from here? Well, look, pretty obvious. 652. 652. Then we could bounce around and, if we break 652, right, then we have our box here. And if we break our box, God help us. And you have to subscribe to get an update on that because that'll take me too long to update. And then the Qs, the same thing. We've had this box here since, I don't know, 3-4 months ago, maybe more longer. We're probably heading to it. And again, if the Qs break this box, the grand super cycle is over. Technology will have an epic collapse like we've never seen before. In fact, that's what you hope for if you're a trader. The worst thing that can happen to you is you actually bounce here and then you get trapped. Is if you bounce here and get trapped, and this is the end of the grand super cycle, you will wake up and we will be trading down here or worse, somewhere down here. Like there'll be a gap down like that, like a 1987 style move. And you'll be whoever, if you were cavalier about buying this dip, reckless with your money, not diversified, and put everything in Tesla and all that other crap, right? All the other big, and then they want to end the grand super cycle on you. Guess what? You're gonna lose everything. What they said too on TV was surprising. They said in this little dip on NASDAQ, just this little dip, they said a lot of the market retail traders that were members of like the brokerages, the guy that owns the brokerage guy on TV said they'd lost already a ton of money. And the guy on CB's like, how could they have lost a ton of money? We're like 2% off of the all-time highs. What are you talking about? He's like, yeah, I don't know either. I guess they're just over-levered to tech. And so, guys, you cannot be like, that's dumb money, guys. Please do not be like that. If you are over-levered to tech and the big cap tech 7 and the household names that everyone knows and loves and share, you gotta diversify now. It is not too late. Because if the grand super cycle is over, there's a lot of downside that can happen. The target for the grand super cycle in NASDAQ, if it's over now, is right now at 345 and possibly as low as 273. Okay, so it's not too early, but of course, in my channel, we don't believe it's the end. We think we are in 5. So are we a buyer of this box? Yes. But are we a reckless buyer? No. Are we going in with all eyes wide open? Yes. We're managing our money. We're in other sectors. We are going to nibble in tech. Why not? But we're going to nibble in tech that makes good cash flow, good profit, not overvalued tech, not dreamer tech that has products that don't exist yet. We're going to buy tech in those conditions, and that's the tech. And then, yeah, maybe we'll get 5. And then good for us. But if we don't, well, I know going in, okay, I may lose on that trade, but don't worry, I'm going to be in a lot of other things and hedge into that situation just in case. So that's you got to be careful. We're in dangerous times. Unfortunately, you're trading in an era when the market's already pumped. Unfortunately, the juice is all out of the orange. It's already been squeezed. And it's not fair, especially if you're new, you're young or whatever. It's not fair because, you didn't get a chance at getting any of the juice out of the orange. They all took it. But the juice has been squeezed. You see this parabolic move? It can't go on forever. It never does. We're not trading down here or down here or down here. Unfortunately, like I said, now, the good thing is if this bubble does pop and ends, you're going to have a great opportunity like your father, grandfather, whoever, your mom or dad did, because you're going to have opportunity. But right now, there's barely any juice left in this orange. And yes, I'm saying, we could get this 5. Ooh, look at that. Look at me. I got this 5. Yay. Got the tippity top. And then guess what happens? And then we still get this. So, this isn't going to go on. That's why if you guys are all in tech and you're piled in, what you think is going to go like that? Was it going to go backward? Like at some point, it can't go up anymore. It won't go up. It just can't. It mathematically is impossible. The amount of money that needs to come in to keep it going, it's not possible. The math is working against you. The law of exponential exponents is working against you. So that's what the market is up against. Okay? These parabolic moves can't be sustained. And once they pop, man, they unravel fast. As you know, if you're a trader, you get an advance that looks like this. Like silver. When silver was like this, it freaking collapsed. And they said some calls went up 10 times in 24 hours. your same day calls, puts went up by almost like 1,000% in one day. Like, could you imagine when this bubble pops with what's going to happen? I mean, damn. So anyway, that's the market backdrop. So if you're buying or selling, this is where you are. Like, I can bring like I say, I can have my kid come up here and go, where should I buy? And he'll go, oh, you should buy down here. What should I do up here? Oh, you should sell. That's pretty dumb. Why would I say, oh, should I put every penny I own, every dollar, every cent in my piggy bank in the market right here? And he would look at me like I was a freaking idiot. And he's only 10 years old. He'll say, are you fucking stupid? Are you stupid? I'm like, but that's what investors are doing here. They have every penny they own in the market, like at the worst possible time. It's like, dude, like look at this chart. It's staring at you in the face. That's why when this thing finally pops, people are going to feel so stupid because it's so obvious. It's so painfully obvious. But anyway, so we look at the Russell down 3.5. So 5%. I don't know if there's a circuit breaker for the futures on the Russell, but I think there is. I think they may have it. And I think if the SPY or NASDAQ or one of these big ones goes 5%, they shut the whole thing down until market open. I think I have to look up those rules. I haven't had to deal with that in a while. But I mentioned to my group we would probably see the Russell down 5%. I thought it was Friday. It looks like I was a day off. I said Friday would probably be down 5%. We went down 2%. But I said maybe Friday would be. So I knew we would do a 5%er in the Russell based on the count we had. All right. So I think I covered everything. I just want to look at everyone's comments. I don't sell courses yet, but I'm definitely making improvements to my website, my product offerings, and you'll see more. Maybe that's something I'll add in the future. All right. And one last one, Rocket Lab. Yeah, Rocket Lab's a good one for I like that stock potentially, from a space theme standpoint, but I just don't like where it's priced right now. Oh, that's my long. Let's get to my short range charts. So we have a box on this. Okay. Our box on the Rocket Lab is 42.39, 33.94. It lines up with the wave 4 low. It looks like it's correcting the whole cycle from its beginning. Okay. And then it's pulling back. And it looks like some kind of 3-wave connector. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1, 2, 3. Connector, maybe a triangle, maybe not. And then another leg lower into the box. So that's Rocket Lab's chart. And there's a lot of support. Let's see if we can look at this, like right around here. 27. So something like that. They really pumped this thing, on this 5. They really pumped it really good. Yeah, the ideal entry on Rocket Lab would probably be right here, 28, 27. But see, there's a lot of support here. This one may be one where it doesn't go deep in the box. We may just get 42 and that's it. So, because people really want to buy this one, right? Obviously. So this will be on a lot of people's radar who missed this move. They'll want to buy it. They're going to buy it. So I believe people will come in and buy this. I wouldn't be surprised if this one doesn't go deep in the box. Now, from a chart standpoint, I would love it here at 28. But I guess if I really wanted to own it, I'd probably have to start buying it here because I don't know if it can go deep. Looking at the structure, looking at this wave, it may be a shallow buy. All right, guys. So that's all I've got. Good luck. I appreciate it. Thanks again. And yeah, have a good night. So I'm going to wrap it up. So again, stay safe. Tomorrow's going to be, obviously does not look good. Tomorrow's going to be a pretty ugly day. I think you need to be really careful just jumping in and buying the dip like first thing in the morning. If you want to buy tomorrow, it'd be better to wait till like 4 p.m., 3:30, 3 p.m. Eastern time. See where the market is, what it's done. Because again, if it rips it higher, well, then it's another 1, 2. It's a false. It's just wait. But if it's really like a big wipeout, washout day, capitulation day, you could see selling persist all day. Margin calls around 2 o'clock.
afternoon Eastern time. So you'd be better off bottom fishing or picking through the rubble like right around close. If I had to do buy-in tomorrow, if like I gotta buy something, I would just wait till like toward the end of the day and see where the market is at that point and get a better idea of where things are. Because I'll tell you, if you come in at 9:45 and buy, you may be blown up at 2 p.m. with all the margin calls. So remember, there's a lot of people over levered to the market right now that were super complacent, and they're all going to panic tomorrow. And there's going to be a small door to go through. And like I said, and you have the algorithmic trading community. Now they're going to be short. They're going to be sell bots. They're going to be shorted every 3-wave rip. Will be short, 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 and that is going to create massive selling pressure. We did not see that the last 3 months. They were buy bots. They were buying every freaking dip, every 3 wave, as they were trying to get this magic 700, 710 number that never materialized. But now they're going to sell it down, and I don't know what level they're going to go to. I think they'll go to those boxes I showed. I think that's the level they'll be targeting. So we may get there pretty quickly.